Hello, everyone, and welcome to MuniciPality, a podcast exploring the wonders of local government through discussions and special guests. I'm Kylie, and today the whole municipality team is gathering with me to reflect on the year 2020. For our new listeners, can everyone here on the call please introduce themselves?
Hi, y'all. This is Sam here, and I use he, him pronouns. And I'll go with my favorite episode of MuniciPality, and I'd say mine is probably the Build Your Own protest. Not only were the guests just absolutely amazing to talk to, it's also the first project I had done with our co-host Natty, and it was a lot of fun.
My name's Natalia. I use she, her pronouns. And my favorite episode of 2020, I think, is also Build Your Own Protest, episode 5. That was just like a really special episode. I think that's when I kind of realized the importance of municipality and like what it could potentially be. But if I want to pick something different, because Sam already picked that one, I just wanted to shout it out again. I think the last episode 13, Youth Organizing and Knowing Your Power and Battling Burnout, was a really cool episode because I got to interview like an old friend or a friend that I've known for a long time. She's my little sister's like friend that they talk all the time. And so it was cool to like interview her in this like professional setting, but also get a glimpse of what that world looks like. So those two are probably my top two.
I'm Adrian. I use they, them pronouns, and my favorite episode of this year was Librarians for Change. I got to interview Gretchen, who is one of my volunteers during my job for the Minnesota DFL in the past year, and it was really great to get to know more about work she's done.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew. I use he, him, his pronouns, and my favorite episode was also the Build Your Own protest. I thought the guests were just amazing, great hosts, and also Brian Benford was one of the guests who I've worked for twice now. And actually, Adrian is managing his campaign for city council as we speak.
And hi again, everyone. My name is Kylie. I use she, her pronouns. And my favorite episode was actually the first one that we did all together, which was COVID-19 and local government. It really takes me back, of course, and I liked having all of us on one call, similar to what you're getting tonight. So, without further ado, let's start off today's little episode with talking about some of each of our personal accomplishments this year to kind of give you a taste of who we are besides just local government. So, anyone who wants to, feel free.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. For me, my proudest personal accomplishment of 2020 was I actually decided to tackle some of the mental health issues I've been dealing with for a long time. I know I'm not the only one who's felt that, especially this past semester, being a student, that is. These last few months have been especially difficult with COVID and everything. And I'd actually decided to start seeing a therapist and, start getting medication. So just actually putting the effort forth to actually help my own mental health is something I'm especially proud of for this year.
I would say my favorite or my proudest personal accomplishment for 2020 would be writing a couple really great songs. In case our listeners don't know, I'm a singer-songwriter. I go by Poplar usually on the interwebs. And I wrote 2 songs this year that I haven't released anywhere yet, but they're on some of my like live stream videos. So if anybody is really a detective, they can go find them. But one of them is called Glass and one of them is called Lucky. And I love them both so much. And when I release them, they're going to be great. So I'm very proud of my songs.
I'd say mine is a tie between 2 things. The first, I ran a 50-mile ultra marathon on an island, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize I could do it till I did. And I'd say the second one, just personally, I just stopped caring what other people think about like my personal beliefs, my goals, what I'm doing. And I feel like, obviously it's important like to not, I guess, like step on people or do bad things. Obviously I'm not doing that, but like, I just kind of just started going freestyle and just doing what's right in my mind.
I think for me, it's been kind of a mixture of like letting go of things. I am a very structured, organized person and like planning type of person. And I think through COVID, kind of the expectations that I had for myself and what I thought my life was going to look like kind of had to be let go of. Like I go to George Washington University in DC, and like the assumption was I was going to be there for the election. I was going to be there for the inauguration. I was going to do all these things, and none of those things happened, but it's okay. Because the thing is, that's not in my control. And so it's more creating stuff with what I can do. I think I've tried to take a lot of more creative outlets, whether it's like collaging, painting. I recently have started doing embroidery, like digital art and those kinds of things. And so I've kind of just taken space to learn new skills, but also to let go of what I thought things should be and try to really just take it all as it comes and like learn from it and see how I can be a better person and how I can, you know, be more empowered in my movements. And like municipality is obviously like a big part of that experience as well, because it's not something I think that would have happened without, you know, COVID. So in a lot of ways, I've been grateful for the experience of like allowing myself to try new things and like reach out to new people and try things that I never thought I could do because of the expectations that I put on myself. So that's, I think, my greatest accomplishment.
That's awesome. And for me, it was also like Matthew had a tie between two things, just to be extra annoying and share both. So this year was like a pretty big life transition for me. I transferred from one university, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, to another one on the East Coast, which is Cornell. It's in upstate New York. And it was just like a very different environment for me. So there's a lot of social re-engineering that I had to do to figure out kind of how to fit in that environment. And then one of the things that helped me to fit in, and this is the second thing, was I started a blog with a creative organization. And recently I just found out that I will now be one of the 2 co-presidents of that organization for the upcoming year. So I'm really excited to hopefully get more creative energy out into sometimes a pre-professional college campus. So we'll see how that one goes. And the irony is so real here. I just complained about my pre-professional college vibe, but the next thing that I want to talk about with everyone here is actually what our biggest professional or academic accomplishments are. So does anyone want to get us started there?
I'll go ahead and start. I'd say my proudest professional academic accomplishments have been the work I've been doing with the student government here on campus. I have a leadership role as the chairman of one of the committees, and I've decided to use that leadership to, you know, do some good work on campus. So, for example, one of the things that both myself and Matthew actually worked on was helping get international students on campus who telecommute rather from wherever they are actually get paid. One of the things that we had learned was that someone who's telecommuting from another country doesn't get paid for their work if they're getting paid hourly. And both Matthew and I agreed that that wasn't fair. So we did a lot of work to fight that, and we ended up eventually, succeeding in some ways. Every struggle is as it sounds like a struggle. So we've definitely moved forward in that fight significantly, putting pressure on the people who need that pressure. And frankly, I'm just really proud of that. I'm proud to use my voice for what I see as a really good cause.
I'll go next. Honestly, like Sam took the words right out of my mouth. I think the work that we've done, like for our student government, like all of us, has been the thing I'm most proud of. From that campaign to pay workers for doing their jobs, which sounds so simple, but it's really, as Sam explained, was such a complicated issue, and we've made significant leeway on it and are still working on it. And we hopefully have some meetings set up next week or the week after on that. And then I would also say something we did was the vote of no confidence in UWPD. I was really proud of that because that department has engaged in corruption to very high degrees, in addition to tear gassing its own students and lying about it. So for those who don't know, UWPD is the University of Wisconsin-Madison Police Department. And Sam was actually kind of the leader of this. We organized a vote of no confidence, and it sent a message, I think, to students, especially BIPOC students on campus, that we recognize that not everyone is experiencing the police the same way, and we need to make drastic changes if we want to actually create an environment where everyone is treated fairly and equally. And I think that really set the tone for, honestly, everything we've continued to fight for, from international telecommuting to equitable grading policies. And it really just set the wheels in motion. And I have to say, these accomplishments will pale in comparison to what is going to happen on January 26th, which is our next student council meeting.
And I'm hopefully going to be there. I'm so excited for the 26th, and for student council in the future. But yeah, I'm super proud of all y'all who worked in the student government and stuff in this past semester. It's been great. And I'm like, I haven't been a student now for months. As some of our listeners might know, I took the semester off to work for the Minnesota Democratic Party. And so I've been kind of listening in, but wasn't fully plugged into that. But that's awesome. So for me, like kind of like I was saying when I worked for the Democrats, probably my biggest like professional accomplishment was being like the number 4 recruiter in the state out of like over 80 organizers. So I recruited like some of the most people in the state, which I was really proud of. And one of my good friends, Michael, was also, I think he was like the second best recruiter or something. So I was very glad that we were all up there. And then either that or one other thing would be my proudest. Now, like Matthew mentioned, I'm the campaign manager for Brian Benford's campaign for the Madison Common Council. And I think being a campaign manager for the first time is just really exciting, and I'm going to learn a lot, and I'm probably going to mess up a bunch, but it's going to be really fun, and I'm really proud of like having this opportunity.
I think for me, it's just like continuing to do things and try things. Like I took 6 classes this semester, which is quite a lot. And I've done so much. Like I've taken a random internship. I don't really talk about it much, but I do social media for an essential oil company. So like I've just kind of put on a lot of hats, and that's kind of what I'm most proud of, because it's like helped me become better at the things that I love the most. And like these experiences brings a new perspective to me. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, like being open to these opportunities and like where it's taken me. I'm currently waiting to hear back on 2 internships that hopefully I will be doing in January, which is really exciting. And I think like outside of like those kind of professional things, I think the proudest moment was winning our divestment campaign for Sunrise GW. I think it was something that we were told was never going to happen, and for it to happen in like 6 months, even though in some ways we're kind of taken away from our celebration being that it was remote, but it was still like incredibly emotional. And it was the first time I really felt like true power and that I could make things better, even though it wasn't like just solely me on the campaign. I guess it was a really impactful moment for me. And I think that also kind of spun into motion, like what allowed me to do MuniciPality and do all these other things that I've been really passionate about and excited about, because, you know, I learned that I could do it. So yeah, those are kind of my big accomplishments.
Definitely. And when you said, Natalia, like you proved that you could do it, or like you learned that you could do it, that actually really segues into what I was about to say. My biggest thing this year was getting an internship in consulting, which is a field that literally a year ago, I did not know what that word meant. So this year was very much about proving that I could do it. And it actually leads me into the future too. This internship is for next summer. So I have kind of a New Year's resolution to prepare myself and do better at like verbal presentations and making slide decks and all of those types of things to help me kind of get ready for that internship and actually perform well in it. It's kind of a big deal to me, so I'm hoping to make it work out. Does anyone else have those kind of New Year's resolutions or goals coming up?
Yeah, I'm very excited about my New Year's resolution, which I hope Matthew will share a bit about too. I'm gonna make myself journal maybe every day. I think I'll do it every day of 2021. And I think Kylie has mentioned liking journaling before, which is kind of what inspired me. So my idea is that I'll be journaling, and I'll be living with Matthew for a good bit of this coming year, so we can force each other to keep journaling.
I typically don't have New Year's resolutions. I've never really been into that. I don't know why. I also have never given up anything for Lent. Like, I don't know why. I never set those kinds of goals, I guess. But for me, I think kind of like a more broad one is like, I want to continue doing creative stuff and making time for that. I have been really focusing on doing stuff that's like good for my body and mind. Like I try to work out like most days, and like whatever that means to me, and like continuing to do that, but also trying to take more time to do artistic stuff. I've recently been learning how to do embroidery, and I just want to learn and like develop these skills further. So that's kind of one of my, I guess, New Year's resolutions. And the other one is to, you know, I guess figure out where I'm going to be living in like the summer is like a more broad resolution of to figure out what the plan is like after COVID ends. Cause I think that is something a lot of people are struggling with, because it's like, we've been waiting so long for it to be over, but now that it's over, we're like, what is this new reality? Like, what is it like to be able to go back to how things used to be? So I think I'm just trying to be easy on those things and figure out what that's going to look like for me, and like be a little bit more accepting that things may not be perfect.
Yeah, my New Year's resolution is to actually do some legislative maneuvering, one of which is a COVID relief bill for any student who is either a dreamer, is undocumented, or has lost their job, that we can create a relief fund which will basically pay for rent, food, and utilities. And we've already negotiated with the Tenant Resource Center, and like basically they're going to administer the whole thing. We just need to give them the funding. So I found out, as the chair of ASM, I can put any unspent money from our internal budget, which is around $1 million, directly into this fund. And I also found out that student council, we can basically direct the reserve board how to spend its $3.5 million. So why, instead of invest it, into the infrastructure of the university using trickle-down economics, when instead we can give the money directly to students who need it, and we would be providing almost triple stimulus than from what the federal government is doing. So I guess my New Year's resolution, with all that being said, is to make this happen, which is what is going to happen on January 26th, which is what I alluded to earlier, in addition to allocating funding for a crisis response team so the police don't have to respond to calls.
My New Year's resolution is to, I'm the same as Natty. I normally don't do New Year's resolutions, but I like to have have some sort of goal set for the new year. Mine is kind of a lot, I kind of bounce between a lot of different things. A lot goes on in my head. I do want to start journaling more, just to, get my thoughts organized. Something I've been thinking of a lot. So maybe Adrian, Matthew, and I can hold each other up on that. In addition, similar to Maddie as well, I actually want to start go through creative outlets more. I absolutely love music, and I would love to start making music if I have the opportunity to. I also like poetry a lot. I would love to do some poetry. That's part of the reason I wanted to keep a journal, just because I think it'd be fun to get all those crazy thoughts I have in my head down on paper. So yeah, I'd like to actually take time to do the things I want to, and not just what I have to do to work.
Can we at least share what episodes you want to work on for next year, and kind of give some folks a sneak peek about that stuff?
Matthew and I have actually had an episode long in the works, so I'm really excited about that, with a really cool guest. But otherwise, beyond that, I'm excited to talk about more local organizing with other orgs. I've been really honestly been excited to be able to connect with a lot of Minneapolis orgs through the last episode. So I'm excited to do more of that, and just generally learn more about municipal stuff, because I think a lot of the episodes I've been doing is more on local organizing and movement spaces. So I'm excited to hopefully tag along on an episode kind of breaking down local government with either Sam or Matthew or Kylie or Adrian or anyone, because everyone knows a little bit more about local government than I, because they're all in city councils apparently, and I did not jump on that train. So,
and also that special guest is a mayor, but that's as far as we'll go.
People are gonna think it's Pete Buttigieg.
Wait, we got Pete Buttigieg?
JK. He's not a mayor right now.
Well,
I said the guest is a mayor.
You should have been the guest has something to do with transportation.
The guest has nothing to do with transportation, is not in a cabinet position, and has not ran for president, but is a mayor.
I'd say one of the things the episodes that I'm looking forward to, one in particular is we're having a really cool special guest on actually sometime coming up soon here. And they've just done a lot of really, really interesting work that I'm really excited to explore with Kylie, who will be co-hosting that episode as well with me. But in general for next year, I'm really excited just to see what kind of guests we do get on, because we've had more people reaching out and wanting to be guests on the podcast. And that is super duper exciting to me, because I love meeting new people and hearing about all their experiences. And now I get to do that, but recorded and published on the internet. So I am absolutely ecstatic for what we have coming up this next year.
For me, this past semester, I actually did some research that I think is relevant to our podcast. I wrote a paper also about Minnesota also talking about somewhat the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, or the DFL, and then also dealing with the concept of like the rural versus the urban. I'm from a very rural place, so that topic is always of interest to me. But I wrote a really nice research paper for a class this semester, and I'm hoping to find a way to sneak it into the podcast. So you can be on the lookout for that from me.
Awesome. I don't have a lot of specific ideas, but I am really interested in doing some more podcasts about addressing equity at a local level. I met through some like networking opportunities somebody who's basically like the equity and inclusion head staff person for the city of St. Paul, Minnesota. And I didn't know that job was a thing. And so it sounded really cool. And I'm like, I would love to interview that person. There's other folks who kind of do similar work in cities. And I think that it probably is a lot different in like smaller cities than like the capital of Minnesota. Like they have like a department of people that just like work on that stuff. So it would be super cool. And we talked about like equity and inclusion type stuff through our policing episodes and even some of our like sustainability episodes and stuff. So it's always a little bit of a thread, but I'd love to like bring it more to the forefront and focus on some different aspects of like racial equity or LGBTQ equity, religious freedom and stuff like that in cities. It'd be really interesting to talk about next year.
So the last thing, and I wrote this question, something I actually was curious for all of our co-hosts. I was wondering if y'all had any big plans or hopes for 2021. Like, what are you guys looking forward to for the next year?
So I'll start, and I'll only share things that I am allowed to share at this time. One of which I'm really excited on the Public Safety Review Committee, which is the city committee I serve on, introducing legislation that will basically limit the police union from influencing elections, lobbying committee members, and inappropriately influencing staff members on their certain decisions. We actually just set the wheels in motion with an expose, which is really awesome. And I think that kind of ties into just my plans next year, is that on all these issues that everyone's talking about, to see direct action and to see, you know, those changes being implemented directly in the ordinances, directly in the legislation, directly in the funding, in the votes, all of that. And I feel like big things are coming. I cannot emphasize that enough. And also just excited for what we're going to do with this podcast. I have to say, MuniciPality has definitely been one of my top 12 highlights of 2020. So probably like number 3, I would say, on my highlights. So I am just really appreciative like of everybody here.
Well, I'm happy to be in Matthew's top 12 things.
Well, okay. I go back to that. That's like not the people here. The people here would be in the top 1 category, but the top 3 category is like the platform itself. You know what I'm saying? Like absent the people, like what we're doing.
Yeah, I get it. For sure. Well, anyway, I think that for me, also super excited for MuniciPality in 2021. I mean, we've got a lot more to do, a lot more to talk about, and every time we do an episode, I'm always super excited about it, and I think there's a lot of potential to grow. Besides that, I'm really excited to finish out this election with Brian Benford. I think he's going to win, and it's going to be a great time. And I'm also just really excited to have another opportunity to get involved with student government. I've been kind of, as I said, a little bit out of it, but there are elections in the spring, and so I'm probably going to be in them, and I'm really excited because I think that, as y'all have heard a little bit about from Matthew and Sam, there's a lot of power in the student government at Madison, so I'm excited to get back into it and see what good I can help out with for next year. So that'll be my 2021.
I'm just kind of excited about the potential of living with someone my own age. I've been at home this whole time, and so I'm basically safely moving, or as safely as I can, with someone, and like figuring out all these logistics so I can kind of, you know, learn to be on my own again, because I live with my 2 younger siblings and my parents, which is actually, I really did learn to appreciate it, and I'm glad I got to spend certain moments with them. But I think also I need to learn how to, I don't know, not have my mom give me dinner every single night. I need to learn how to cook again and those kinds of things. And so I just hope that I can figure out what that is going to look like. But other plans is hopefully I will have my 2 internships, hopefully internship back in DC, and be in DC and like get to travel with some of my friends around kind of the East Coast and do the things that we always said we were going to do, but always got too busy until we realized, oh, this isn't always just going to be an opportunity. So I'm just excited to like be able to explore those creative endeavors and like go explore the city and go, you know, get to live in DC again. And because I haven't been there in almost a year, and it's crazy because I miss it so much. So that's kind of my hopes and dreams. But like academically and professionally is like, you know, finish the like 2 out of the 3 last semesters I have of university, and then, you know, graduate 2022 in the spring, which is crazy because I feel like we just got to university. But yeah.
Very similarly for me, in the first couple weeks of 2021, I will be moving back to New York, which I've also haven't been to for about a year, like Natalia with DC. And I'm very excited and a little bit nervous for all the logistics with that. And then my other exciting thing for 2021 is this spring, I will also be interning with a local government in New York, and I'll be doing some law, specifically like labor and employment law. That's very on brand for my major. And then also some human resources work, which is even more on brand for my major. So I'll be really eager and kind of excited to combine those things from my academics and then this other interest of local government. And that could also inspire some episodes. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's most exciting for me and just kind of in general in my life, I'm the kind of person who, when it comes to random opportunities that come up, I just kind of dive into them head first because I just love learning about different things and how to do different things, kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy. So I'm actually just really looking forward to what opportunities present themselves in 2021 and what kind of weird and crazy local government antics I'll get myself involved in because it happens every year. So I'm just looking forward to what 2021 has to hold, and hopefully it means I can actually leave my house on occasion. And yes, as Natty says, mostly because of Matthew, it happens. We love working together. But that is all we had set up for today. So thank you all so much for coming today. Thank you to all the co-hosts. Like I said earlier, I do really enjoy hearing from all of my co-hosts just to hear what they've been up to and what they're looking forward to. So thank you all once again for being here, and thank you for sharing everything. To our listeners, our neighbors, let us know how 2020 was for you, and if you have any New Year's resolutions on our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, if you're interested in being a guest on an episode or have any ideas for topics you want us to cover, please feel free to reach out to us as well. We are so happy that you joined us today, and we hope to see you again soon in our municipality.